This is the Washington Times front page for Monday, July 18th, 2022. Thanks for starting your week with us. I'm George Gerbo. President Biden wrapped up an arduous 4-day visit to the Middle East by promoting stronger security coordination between Arab powers and Israel amid mutual concern over threats emanating from Iran. Joseph Clark, Jeff Murdoch, and Guy Taylor recap the president's trip in today's edition, which he used to project assurances that the U.S. will remain regionally engaged on a variety of fronts, including climate change and infrastructure investment. After a closed-door meeting with Saudi Arabia leaders Friday, the president appeared to acknowledge his failure to achieve a major goal of the trip, to persuade the Arab nation to increase its oil production for the global market. Biden had also pledged on the campaign trail to make Saudi Arabia a pariah in response to the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, but critics fiercely condemned his meeting with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and panned his fist-bump greeting with the leader. Biden insisted his overall trip had larger implications for the U.S. and the world at a moment of stalled nuclear talks with an increasingly belligerent Iran and rising global instability stemming from Russia's war in Ukraine. The president is also under pressure to resolve a labor dispute that threatens to disrupt freight rail lines and the nation's supply chain this fall. Susan Freakio reports he plans to appoint a team of arbitrators to negotiate a settlement between the rail companies and 12 labor unions that have been unable to reach a deal on pay, benefits, and working conditions after 2 years of negotiations. Rail workers and labor activists want the White House to appoint arbitrators that support their contract demands and uphold Biden's pledge to be the most pro-union president in American history. Rail companies have rejected many of the union's demands for higher pay, better benefits, and work reforms. If Biden's arbitration emergency board can't break the impasse, up to 115,000 rail workers are poised to strike in mid-September. Customs and Border Protection agents and officers captured 207,000 migrants during the month of June, a 14% decrease from May, but many issues still remain at the southern U.S. border. Although the number of migrants traveling as family units declined, Stephen Dinan reports the number of illegal immigrant children traveling unaccompanied rose to more than 15,000. Of the 207,416 migrants caught in June, just 92,273 were pushed back into Mexico under the Title 42 Pandemic Health Emergency Policy. Roughly 72,000 others were processed and released directly at the border. Most of the rest were expected to be released after transfer to another federal agency in the interior of the country. You can read all of these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. You can also find the entire lineup of Washington Times podcasts at WashingtonTimes.com/podcasts. The Biden administration is stepping up efforts to counter growing Chinese influence among Pacific Island nations. Bill Gertz reports U.S. officials and foreign policy analysts say China views those nations as a way to curb American power and expand their own opportunities for new military bases. Vice President Kamala Harris spoke via video at a meeting of Pacific Island leaders in Fiji. Her message: the United States has neglected the islands in the past, but is now taking greater action in the region. The White House plans to increase funding for economic development in the island nations from $21 million to $60 million annually for the next 10 years. The funds would be used for maritime security, curbing illegal fishing, and investment in economic development. And finally, a U.S. district judge in the Eastern District of Tennessee has temporarily blocked antidiscrimination guidelines issued last year by the Department of Education and Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Valerie Richardson reports Charles Atchley, a Trump appointee, ruled that the administration directives ignore the limited reach of Bostock. The Bostock v. Clayton County Supreme Court decision, written by Justice Neil Gorsuch, held that employees could not be fired for being gay or transgender under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. 20 state attorneys general argued that the Biden administration exceeded its authority with guidance on employment, scholastic sports, and public accommodations. The administration has sought to use Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 to more broadly cover gender identity directives. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in your favorite podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.